Welcome to the Purple Political Breakdown. I am glad you are here and I'm glad you are listening to today's podcast episode. My mission in each and every one of these episodes is to really focus on the solutions to some of the biggest questions and most controversial topics going on in our current society. I feel like most of these conversations are not truly being discussed in a more logical and respectful manner due to the political toxicity that goes on with both the left and the right, both the Democrats and the Republicans. In this podcast, I don't care about any of that. I am focused on the solutions. I'm focused on bridging gaps. If you want to join me on this journey, if you want to discuss some of the most important topics, if you are tired of the political toxicity and negativity from both sides, please support this channel, share the podcast, and go to my website, www.purplepoliticalbreakdown.com. I appreciate the support. I'll continue to make content, and hopefully we can start bridging these gaps and focusing on real issues going on in our world. Welcome to the Purple Political Breakdown. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? How's your day been? This is episode number 65. I didn't stream this episode for a very particular reason, and it just wasn't convenient from the situation that I was in at the moment, but today, we got a interesting but short episode to talk about, and this is something that I've kind of preached a few times in terms of the internet and how conduct is done specifically on social media. And the reason why I want to talk about what I'm about to talk about is very simple, because I do think there's something that should be done on terms of conduct on places like X. Right, so I'm going to explain what I mean in terms of how to improve conduct on social media, or my personal reasons why things need to be done in terms of the quote-unquote public square we're all used to. But before we get into that, of course, make sure that if you are starting your own podcast website, check out this ad for Podpage. Join a Podpage using my affiliate information. Do you want a great website like this? This is my podcast website where I direct the audience to come to, watch the content, listen to the content, read the blogs, and much, much more. If you want to have your own customizable podcast website, then join my affiliate link in my description to sign up for something called Podpage, and they can help you customize an easy podcast website for your personal podcast. Sign up to get a discount now. Again, use the link in my description to join Podpage now. Now, let's start off with reading some reviews, comments. Make sure you guys leave a 5-star review or comment so you can be shouted out in a future episode of the podcast. This one said, "Worth your time" by XHK Cernet. You are sick of polarizing politics, but what to do? Educate yourself with the in-depth but digestible podcast where issues are visited with the idea of solving the problem rather than winning for one side or the other of the political spectrum. Also, the latest episode to the date of this review had on a really great voting methods expert, and the host sat back and let her speak through her area of expertise. It was refreshing to listen to a podcast about politics without it being a battle of talking heads. Kudos to the creator. Very much appreciate. I'm guessing you came onto the episode where Sarah came on to talk about voting methods that would improve our way of politics and voting reform, and how it would change how representatives a little bit more akin to our wants and needs. That was a really great episode. Make sure you guys go check that out, of course, and appreciate you leaving a review. So with that said, let's dive on with our first segment of the day. What you need to know. Current events that is going on recently that I believe that you may find interesting, that you may want to know. First things first, to kind of cover some bases. Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. I'm going to cover other things in politics because, I'm kind of in this space. So I know a little bit about what is going on, and I find it interesting. LSU quarterback winning the Heisman, of course. Shout out to him. He'll be declaring for the NFL draft, I'm pretty sure. What team he goes to, I'm not completely sure. As a New York Giants fan, I do hope that we get our quarterback of the future because Daniel Jones is simply not it. Otani, a baseball player, received a $700 million contract. And although it's a large contract and he joins the Dodgers, the interesting about this situation and whether or not there should be a discourse over this being something that happens in the future is that he deferred $698 million to the last term of his contract. So over the next 10 years, he will only be receiving $10 million. I don't know how I feel about that. Yes, I could see like the cons is he's only going to be getting $2 million over the next 10 years. But the pro is the way they're able to stack that team up in the first 9 years. Questionable if this is a legitimate non-corrupt tactic, but a player would have to be really unselfish for 9 years to only get paid $2 million. Well, with $2 million over 9 years, he's going to have to live a very humble lifestyle. But that 10th year, $698 straight to the bank account. Whoa, okay. The Lakers won the first in-season tournament. LeBron James in-season tournament MVP. Does this mean anything for his legacy? I don't think so, but it was a good, successful first run of the in-season NBA tournament. Some other news going on. The University of Pennsylvania president, Liz McGill, resigned Saturday amid backlash over remarks made during a congressional hearing about ongoing campus anti-Semitism Tuesday. Reports of anti-Semitic harassment have increased at U.S. universities since the start of the Israel-Hamas war 2 months ago, prompting scrutiny of those institutions' response. A major donor withdrew a $100 million partnership with Penn Thursday as a protest of McGill's comments. McGill's tenure began just 16 months ago, appeared to hedge when asked whether extreme forms of anti-Semitism, including calling for genocide of Jews, violated Penn's code of conduct, instead saying each situation required further context. A brief clip of the 5-hour testimony was viewed over 30 million times, led to widespread bipartisan condemnation. McGill's counterparts at the hearing, the presidents of Harvard and MIT, also faced calls to resign. McGill will act as president until her successor is announced and will continue as a faculty member at the school. Remarks. I'm not really sure what she said, but it's crazy how polarizing these situations, and when like a university especially relies on a donor funds, then they are basically at the will of rich people who give them money. And it's always very shaky when you let situations like that. Those people should be here in benefit or like in support of the institution themselves. But I don't know how I feel about institutions fail or this kind of news making it seem like the institution will basically fall into their whim because a $100 million donor is leaving. I get donations, especially for private universities, are very important, but there should be a very, very, very simple rule set that you follow as a college institution. Anti-Semitism is bad on campus for a lot of universities, I'm sure. Islamophobia as well. These universities need to take a stronger stance to ensure that violence doesn't peak in their universities. And yes, these young individuals are pretty ignorant about the world or having opinions, but once it crosses over the line to potential violence, at that point, no mercy should be given to political free speech at that point because violence is not covered under the First Amendment. So crazy situation, of course. We also got the Texas Supreme Court paused a lower court's ruling over the weekend, allowing a Dallas area woman to receive an abortion despite the state's new laws limiting access to the procedure. The case is believed to be the first of its kind in the U.S. since Roe v. Wade was overturned last June. Kate Cox, a 31-year-old mother of two, sued for an exemption to the state's restrictions after learning her unborn baby was at high risk for Edwards syndrome. a genetic disorder. The conditions cause severe development issues. The majority of diagnoses, above 80%, result in fetal loss during pregnancy. Roughly 50% carry to term survive birth, and of those, 5 to 10% survive past 12 months. Cos was 20 weeks pregnant when the suit was filed. Texas bans the procedure after around 6 weeks for medical emergencies. Sorry, getting my brain kind of fixed up, so I'm kind of scrambling in terms of my words and my vernacular. Let us lock in and calm down. This is a very interesting situation. It seems like it falls in line with the medical emergencies. Now, the deeper question is whether abortion should be utilized as a tool for individuals who have genetic complications, and you don't believe that those children growing up will have a fruitful life due to their genetic complication. Kind of the eugenics argument. It's so tough to find the fine line, but this is where I come from personally. When it comes down to it, I truly believe that all humans are not kind of weighted equal in terms of their value in society and in turn their rights as a human. There is always going to be baseline rights that everybody deserves, and I'm not against that. That's why I'm always not a firm pro-life or a firm pro-choicer when it comes to abortion, although the baseline human rights is definitely afforded to certain individuals, and that can be discussed at a different time. In terms of this conversation, for me personally, I think there is a valid case to be made in these circumstances, because the value of the situation when it comes down to the child coming and their value in society, the parents as they raise the kid in the very specific situation, and the kid's own perception on how their life is going to be as they grow. At this point, in a very complicated situation like this, having the parents make the full and 100% honest case on whether or not they think that the kid will live a fruitful life should be purely up to the parents. Because in a situation of health, obviously they're going to grow up normally. But in a situation where this is beyond just health, that they won't even develop properly, they'll live and struggle living in life consistently, and the parents there's nothing the parents can do to change their course of life to walk on the normal path. This is a extreme situation. So in this situation, in the best interest of them and the child, it makes sense for the parents to have 100% autonomy of this decision specifically. And this would be one of those exceptional cases where I think that would be a very fine thing to say, regardless of the term, personally. So that is where I kind of stand in this situation, because the excuse of that people bring up in terms, I won't be able to raise it, or something on that manner. I'm not going to speak on some other kind of exceptional rules. And in that situation, I don't think it's strong enough to abort your baby in every situation because you don't think you'll be able to take care of the child because adoption exists. In this situation, I think you definitely would have that certain of leverage of autonomy, because even if this kid was, set up with special programs to help the mother or father raise the child, or sent into adoption, the fact does remain. This kid will have a very hard life, very terrible life. It won't be easy, and more than likely they'll suffer more than they enjoy the life that they're about to endeavor. So I think I might be fine with it. Whether or not you agree, I'm more than willing to listen in the reviews or in the comment section, but that's kind of where I stand regarding that topic, of course. So that is all we got for current events. Let's dive into our social subtopic. Now, the social subtopic is in reference to a very interesting situation that has occurred recently. And I'm going to show you guys, give me a second. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean in terms of the situation. But it revolves around Twitch. Twitch. And this topic actually plays into my bigger conversation in a second. But Twitch has, let's just say, content creators, actors in the content creation scene, and they have individuals like this. 1 second, show it to y'all so we're all on the same page. They have individuals, and if you're watching on Roku, then you can see what I'm talking about. But they have individuals like this. This person is on Twitch. This person has a current view count of 5,900 people. This person is on Just Chatting. She's chatting to her audience. And this person is basically naked. And there's a lot of controversy around this conversation on what is going on. Twitch, a platform on social media that people go to watch streamers live. Twitch, a platform where we know kids frequent quite consistently. Twitch, a platform that makes it known that they have very specific rules and regulations that they abide by, and certain streamers get blocked or get suspended or get banned for different reasons to adhere to those rules. This is a platform we think that is a pretty normal platform for people to go on to enjoy content. And here, they basically have a full-on naked woman, wet, sexy as hell, talking to her viewers. And I wonder how much of those people are below the age of 18. I'm just very, very curious. People are going to send her super chats. She's going to be able to run ads, I'm pretty sure. And Twitch is okay with it. It's kind of weird to me how they're okay with situations like this. This platform. The only thing at this point that is not showing is her nips and some of her in her lower area. But she's basically full on. They are so confident in terms of towing the line. They don't even wear bikinis anymore. It's like, I know exactly how far I can reach. This kind of reminds me back in the day where like there would be like certain movies that kind of show women and there's just like a sticker on their nipples and a sticker on their vagina. It's like this is nudity. This is nudity. And that's what that was right there. Is it full on? No, but we know exactly what is going on. Because the only reason why someone like her is doing what she's doing is to completely seduce her audience. That is the only reason. There's no other reason for her to be like that but to seduce her audience so her audience gets sexually aroused and send her money with horny brain. That is the only reason why she's doing what she's doing. She knows exactly why she's doing what she's doing, and she can get away with it because Twitch is inconsistent on how they moderate their platform. Borderline porn a lot of the times, I'll be honest. But just borderline a sex cam business, but doesn't go right over. It's like this is the line and this is where Twitch is. Trying not to go right over before it gets really bad. It's crazy how many times Twitch gets called out for these inconsistencies. It's crazy to me how much we see this these actions, and it's not just her. There's a lot of I've seen other videos of other content creators doing the exact same thing. It's crazy to me, very crazy to me. With that said, I'm going to talk about a little bit more depth on how I view social media and how they handle porn. But before we dive into that, let's dive into our next segment, deep or deeper. The deeper question I have for you guys today is, can AI and robots help weirdos? And this kind of plays into the question as well, because the weirdos that are watching her stream, sending her money, are the same weirdos I'm talking about. And the funny thing is, I was on social media. Maybe I should have pulled up this picture as well. And there's this guy. He's an OnlyFans creator. And in his room, he's showcasing this brown skin woman. That's what it looked like at first. Then you get a closer look. It's a doll. It's a woman, adult size, female, sex doll, as we know. And in the background, he has a bunch of sex vaginas and a bunch of all that other stuff, right? And he's like parading how he's about to make so much great content with this doll. And this question didn't arise from that. This question arose a while ago. But weirdos like him, should it be okay that we have this technology to adhere to their weirdest desires? Because whatever he does to that doll, it's a doll. We don't care. He can borderline do the craziest imaginable things to the fake mouth, the fake vagina, and the fake hole in the back. Nobody will care because it's a doll. You're not supposed to care. It's whatever. His weird kink, do it all to the doll. So, in theory, that should be like a good solution to abide by weirdos, right? So, more specifically, how far do we want to go with it? With robots too, the more interactive technology that has some of the same functions that a sex doll will, but it can talk back and have some expressions. How far do we want to go? And how many weirdo kinks do we want to abide by? I'm going to go down some hypotheticals. And of course, the audience listening, you can let me know whether or not you think that would be okay to you. And I'm proposing this because this is a legitimate conversation down the line. When it comes to robots, more specifically sex robots, entering the industry, replacing women in a lot of cases to adhere to their sexual desire. AI speech is getting a lot better, so it's going to sound more and more like a woman. It's going to feel like a woman in terms of sexual advancement. She's going to bounce up and down. You can get certain technology around the bosom area, around the, you know what I'm saying? Man, she go up and down and doing what she's saying. I'm not going to repeat the action, but she moves like a woman well enough. She sounds like a woman well enough. And you don't have to deal with the woman activities. You're just a programmer. Would you be okay with that? Interesting question. Especially in this kind of more promiscuous era. This would alleviate a lot of the potential problems men have in terms of incels have with getting laid. This will alleviate a lot of sexual situations where maybe men or even women are putting themselves in danger of getting people pregnant and not following through as parents. And it may alleviate some issues when it comes down to some individuals having a sexual drive but not being able to get women. So, does it solve a lot of our problems, or does it make things worse? Is the interesting question in terms of human to human connection. If all of our hedonistic wants and needs are getting met by technology. So that's the first one, kind of the baseline one. Not a lot of guys just go to sexual robots. Okay, let's go to the next kink. How about these guys that love furries? Is it okay if a guy has a sex robot or doll that is like a animorph, animal-looking human that people get attracted to off the internet constantly? that there's furry conventions about. We let them dress up. Why not let them have dolls? The big question regarding that. Okay, go a step further. Straight up animals. Animal dolls. Is that weird? I agree. I definitely think it's weird. But should we allow it to happen? Animal dolls. They're not hurting a person. They're not hurting an animal. So should we create animal dolls for these weirdo kinks? And the last thing I want to mention, and probably the most disturbing, children. Dolls. Robots. It's disgusting to even say or think about. And it's different from the aspect that some people bring up in terms of child porn, because no actual child's getting harmed in this situation. It's doll. It's a fake. It's a robot. It has no feelings. So we are running into a very weird and unique circumstances when it comes down to this situation with AI and with robots and dolls, where this technology is getting further and further advanced. We can be able to adhere to every weird desire you like without disturbing the sanctity of another human being. But in terms of us as humans, in terms of where we want our moral values, where our values should be consenting adults having a good time together. And the standard of normal that I want to create is, yes, sex is fun, but sex purpose is to have children. That is its purpose. The reason why sex feels so good in the first place is so it incentivizes us to make children, because humanity wants to proliferate, it wants to grow, and it wants to continue its species, just like any living thing. If that's the standard of normal, and we want to make sure that the connections and the values between human beings continue, then should we even allow these things to be legal in the first place? Because the question at this point is not, are you hurting another human being? The question at this point is, will this ruin the human dynamic structure in society if we feed into these weird, unnatural kinks, unnatural desires? If we bleed into our hedonistic ways, promiscuous ways, will human society, be able to deal with it? I would argue no. I would truly argue no. But, of course, I'm willing to hear some feedback in reference to that question, of course. So with that said, let's dive into our main topic. The topic of question in terms of social media, more specifically. Yes, I mostly talk about politics, but this is more of a social scenario, because we need to recognize that with the increase of social media being the public square that we think it is, we should treat it as a very, very unique place, specifically talking about X. And I want to propose some things that I think in the long run can benefit our conduct to one another, and more specifically, conduct in general in the most popular or the growing populace of the internet, being X, right? And other social media platforms too, where consistent communication is a thing. The first thing I want to point out kind of falls in line with the social subtopic is porn. I think Elon Musk, my proposal to you is that when it comes to X, you should create a function on the platform. And it's a twofold function. The first function is indicate any content that is being posted on this platform that is literally porn should be marked differently as X-rated content. And the second function is, if you as a user And I don't even care if you do this. Honestly, I don't even care. Make your buck. But if you as a user don't want to see porn on your timeline, you should be allowed and given the opportunity to ban all porn on your timeline. All of it should be banned. All OnlyFans content, all random sex videos, all hentai sex videos, all nude pictures, all hentai pictures. Some of the most depravable sexual content on the platform should all be banned. You, Elon Musk, should give me, the individual, the ability to ban all of that porn on X. So that's the first thing I want to provide you as a alternative, because I fall in the line thinking that X itself or porn itself shouldn't be on social media. I think it should just be banned on social media. I don't see the inherent value for it to be on social media. I think nowadays, especially recently, anytime a post goes viral, some OnlyFans creators putting her link in the comments to it and attach themselves to some desperate dude trying to get them to buy her content. I think porn just plays into the pathetic people on the internet. And I'm sorry to say, because I've definitely dabbled in porn quite a bit myself, but I'll never buy it. I'll never pay for it. It's free on the internet. And if I want to get horny and get my rocks off, I just go look for it on the internet. But if I'm on social media to engage with the conversation and see some news or engage in conversation about sports and anime, I shouldn't run the risk of porn appearing on my timeline. That is not something I should have to worry about. This is very specific, X-rated content that should be set aside for a very specific purpose. So that is a recommendation for me when it comes to porn. I think it serves no value on the platform, so mark them differently in terms of porn content creators. And if they break the rules and they post porn content on your platform without marking it appropriately, they should get a warning and then eventually get banned off the platform. Follow the rules. And what I mean by in terms of making your bag, Elon Musk, is if you want them to pay for Blue or the membership to acquire this function, go for it. As long as you give us the ability to ban all porn on the website, I'm all here for it. So that's the first thing I want to point out for everybody. The next thing I want to point out is false information. X has become the platform of news and news sources and reliable opinions, so to speak. The problem with that is it shouldn't be the platform of news sources, and reliable opinions, because a bunch of random people can go on the platform and say whatever they want, whether or not it's fact checked. Now, you've done a great job in creating community notes to provide the opportunity for people to fact check this information. However, I think there needs to be a step forward to this aspect. Oh, you also took the opportunity to, if someone community notes fact checks your content, I think you said their tweet will be demonetized. Another great thing. It definitely incentivizes more real news being published or real factual statements being published. I definitely think that platforms that post news sources, platforms that are created for the sole purpose of providing factual information, should be held at a higher standard on the platform than other accounts. Because the problem is that people will post things on the platform, either clickbait pieces or just straight out opinions that have no factual basis. They'll go viral, and people just, for some reason, just think it's 100% truthful because it aligns with their innate biases automatically. So you make it very clear on the platforms that are here to provide factual information. Matter of fact, you kind of differentiate themselves from the crowd based off tenured tenured track record. And what I mean by this is platforms that are constantly putting out information, factual information that you can rely on and you can accept as potential good information. Not only do obviously they're gonna get known as a probably a member with a check mark, but also there's another function to this platform as a reliable source to have information that you can trust. I think that would be a good stepping stone in terms of establishing certain legitimacies over others. Whether or not you agree to that is up to you, because I still like the community notes aspect, and I still like the fact that you could demonetize tweets. My biggest thing, I guess, I would point out, even if you don't even agree with the aspect of more legitimate sources being distinguishing themselves based off their own track record of legitimacy, is that there should be harsher punishments to those people continuously putting out wrong information. Because the platform like X and how it plays into the algorithm and going viral, and other social media platforms, matter of fact, it can just be extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. If we keep up with the idea that you put out something not fact checked, you keep on doing it, it's constantly wrong, it creates a stir, it creates wrong kind of perspectives on certain topical content and topical issues regarding politics, specifically social issues, cultural issues. And it just creates an unnecessary mob, and you just continuously do it. At that point, and don't take away their freedom of speech, but I think you at that point, need to kind of change how these content goes viral for people. Maybe put a certain notification that this type of individual is not the most reliable source in terms of information. It's really something to think about. But what I really want to go off of that, is that there are certain accounts on social media that parade themselves as false accounts in the viewpoint of being a parody account. And being a parody account means that you are kind of making fun of the platform. You use their likeliness. You maybe put parody in the description, but on the first glance on the timeline, you put information that people are going to think real. You have a check mark and everything. What I think you should do for these individuals that are parody accounts, I know you put out there that if you don't have a parody account, then you won't be blue marked or something like that. These accounts need to be extremely different from a legitimate account. And I'm serious. Because these parody accounts are way too dangerous to just let live. They just keep on putting out false information. So basically, they do what I said later, but it's okay because they say it's a parody account. No. When a user sees their account, right from jump, they should know from first looking at it, not having to click on their account and go on to see if they're a parody, because not everybody does that. That's unrealistic. Not everybody's going to click on the account to see if it's a legitimate account. From jump, right on the timeline, it should say parody in front of their name. Or it should have like a badge that says parody. So everybody knows that I don't have to take you seriously. Because the reason why accounts like this are successful is not because they're just making fun of people. It's because sometimes they think the stuff that is being sent is real, and they just keep on retweeting what they're saying. It's like, oh, this is real. This is interesting. So that is a big thing, that these parody accounts benefiting off of this situation should be made extremely different compared to normal accounts. So the last thing I want to kind of point out is that when it comes to social media, yeah, I think we have a function that we should allow porn or not on the platform, to disable it. I think in addition to the parody stuff, I think we should allow whether or not we want parody counts on our timeline as well. So porn accounts and parody accounts are just different types of accounts. I think the legitimacy of making sure that factual information is on the timeline and certain people get harsher punishments for constantly putting out wrong information to manipulate the people should definitely be in the conversation. But more so than anything else, these public squares supposed to be meant for adults, right? I think as of right now on social media, it's bad on TikTok where kids are just on that, no problem. But on social media, we know that kids are going to go on it because some of the parents don't really care to check what their kids are doing. So you make a verifiable way for children and teens not to appear on X, but make a children and teen version of the platform for them to utilize. I think that is the best case scenario in this situation. You verify their age. If they're an adult, obviously they can use the normal platform. If they're not, they can use the child version. A more heavily moderated version to ensure that they are not seeing some of the most grotesque things on the internet. I think that is the best way to go about it because we got to recognize that a lot of parents are still learning how to deal with social media. And they're going to, in general, just allow them to utilize their phone, and the kids are gonna download Twitter, put a fake age, and go on Twitter and just do whatever. So you create a verifiable way to determine age. You create a child and teen version, kind of similar to YouTube, where they have a kids YouTube version, and just allow them to go on there, chat with their friends, and have fun. I think that is the solution that we have to go by. We have the adult version. We have the kids version. All these tools won't limit free speech, but they will make it more organized in terms of the content that you are kind of going through. Children and teens will be able to have their own space to kind of communicate with one another. The parody accounts that provide no inherent value other than just bland entertainment will be a very specific type of account. Porn that has no value either will not lose their way, but also have very specific accounts. And to be honest, the excuse of, porn people are going to lose their money, I don't care. I really just don't. I don't feel bad. I don't need to see your content on my timeline just because you need to make money off of these weirdos. If those weirdos want to keep their timeline filled with porn, let them. But the natural public shouldn't have to worry about you walking across a public square and this random woman getting fucked in the middle of the street. That shouldn't be a thing. X is supposed to be a public square, right? That shouldn't be a thing. I shouldn't walk on the public square and see someone disguised as someone else telling false lies. It's not something I should have to see. Or telling lies or telling falsehoods. So make it a true public square. Make it a place where people will be able to engage in ideas on the platform. I think you're doing a great job in a lot of different ways, making it be able to call, getting spaces that have grouped up conversation, and those different ways. Community notes is a great idea as well. But this is just kind of the next step. So let me know what you guys think about it. Of course, that's all we got for today. If you guys enjoyed the episode, rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to the website, www.purplepoliticalbreakdown.com, to go and check out all the content, all the socials. Hope you all enjoy. Y'all have a good one. Take care and peace.
Well, check it out, y'all. We got what you need. We're all living in apartments, condos, vans. Well, dude, even you can have a studio in a box. Yes, we can help you with that right here at Blind Knowledge. We work on your budget, and we figure out your measurements. We'll get you the best sound for the best price. Let me know, 877-237-1143 or at blindknowledge.com. Yep.